Welcome to Great Lakes Outdoors, everyone. I'm your host, Rob Trott. On this week's show, we're going to bring you part one of the 17th annual Great Lakes Outdoors Jack Eddy Memorial Big Buck Night, right here at the Lapeer County Sportsman's Club. So you stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of your Great Lakes Outdoors. Welcome to the 17th annual Great Lakes Outdoors Jack Eddy Memorial Big Buck Night. This is part one, and we're going to get started right away. Our first people here today are Colton and Chris Hudak. They're from Sheboygan. They lead off this year's Big Buck Night. This beautiful buck grosses about 146 and was taken with a bow by this father and son team. Now pay attention, everyone. Colton is 9 years old. And Dad, who took this buck?
Colt took this buck.
Why don't we explain it?
Well, this started about 7 years ago when he was about 2 years old. He was always watching me in the backyard shooting my bow. And when he was 4, he asked me if he could get a bow too and shoot. So I got him his own equipment, and about 5 years he's been shooting a bow now. And I told him last year if he kept practicing and doing what he was doing, he'd be more than capable of harvesting a buck in the future. Well, he can't hunt here for 3 more years. So I was able to get him his hunter safety from Sheboygan Horseman Club. I took him out of state to the great state of Illinois, and this is what he took with his bow in Illinois, which I couldn't deny him the opportunity of not hunting for 3 more years here. And I knew he was more than capable of harvesting a deer. So I think that Michigan might take a look at this young man here and say, maybe we need to look at the age limit. Maybe we'll be able to. There are some kids that are more than capable of doing this, Rob.
The only other thing you need other than a hunter safety certificate, so everybody out there understands it was perfectly legal, is you have to be able to pull 40-pound a bull back, correct?
Yep.
And you do that, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to get to you now. I'm not taking all your time here. Why don't you tell us your story? I know you got a good one.
Well, first off, I was kind of bummed because the day before I had missed a big 8-point, and I kind of misjudged the yardage. And we hadn't been seeing much the next morning, and it was getting on 8 o'clock, and my dad said, we're going to rattle here, and so be ready. And after we finished rattling, we looked over on the other side of the hill, and this guy came running. Then my dad grunted a few times, and he came trotting over to us. And then he came in the woods and around a big brush pile, and came in, and I drew back and took my shot.
And where'd you hit it?
I had to take him in the throat, in the chest, because he looked up at us. Because he spotted us in the tree, we didn't have much cover.
He didn't go very far, though, did he?
No, he died in the field. I watched him go down about 75 yards from the tree.
What kind of bow are you shooting?
A Hoyt Rentec.
You've been shooting that for 5 years already?
I just got it for my birthday last year.
But you've been shooting for 5 years?
Yes.
I think this is one of the young men that wants to become the next Jack Eddy, and I think he could be at 9 years old, don't you?
I gotta thank. This wouldn't have been all possible if his mother had to drive 1,400 miles to pick him up. She drove 700 down, 700 back. So it was a team effort.
But to finish that story, that's so you could stay and hunt.
That's, yeah. So I could stay and hunt.
All right. Thanks very much, guys. Thank you, Colton. Okay, Steve McKegg of Lapeer. This is our only local guy. And you're going to say, that's only a little 8-point. But you know what? Of all the stories I got, and believe me, as you all know, I got some stories, this was the best. And I had to have these two up here. This is his wife, Heather, with him. And we have to shorten it into a 2-minute segment, but I know. But do the best you can. First off, they call this a nightmare buck, and you'll understand in a minute.
Well, Rob, let me tell you, this is from up in Roscommon County. We've been driving a car up north to save on gas for the gas prices this year. And for the last few years, you haven't needed, four-wheel drive trucks or anything. So, well, Thanksgiving night, I shot this about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Nice buck for up in Roscommon. Then what happened, it took 4 hours to get him in the car. So we're like, hey, great, the car, man. We're home free now. We're out of the woods. It's going to be a great night. When we got to the car, in that 4 hours, we got about like a foot of snow on top of the 6 we already had. Cars don't go down 2 tracks very good in 16 inches of snow. So the best memory I got of all this is watching my wife on her hands and knees plowing this road by her arms so I can get this car down the road so we can get this deer back to camp. It ended up taking us a grand total of about 10.5 hours to get back to camp. I shot him at 4. I took my boots off at 3 o'clock in the morning in the camper. So it was a lot of fun, Like I said, he's going to be a nightmare. It's something we'll never forget the rest of our lives, just getting this one buck out of the woods.
Okay, that's his story. Now, Heather, now it's your turn.
He didn't even want to go out. I made him go out hunting. He's like, I don't want to go because the weather was really bad, snowing, blowing. But he went.
Now, what's this? You were laying in the road plowing snow.
Yeah. I hand plowed the whole way to camp. We had the deer tied to the car. We untied the deer. We decided to put the deer in the trunk. We took the deer back out of the trunk, left the deer. We ended up dragging it the whole way back anyways because the car.
Well, that's right. I remember that. You had it in the trunk, and you felt that was not going to help, so you took it out and left it there.
We left it. And we had to go back and get it.
The load, that poor little car was having a hard time. It was a night you'll never forget, I'll tell you that. What a way to spend the night in the Michigan woods, right?
Well, persistence anyway. That's a good story, and I appreciate you guys coming and telling it. Thank you very much. Connie Letwidge of Pinckney shot this buck in Washtenaw County on November 15th. This is Connie's 3rd buck in 3 years of hunting on her own property. She has faithfully tried to get on Big Buck Night the last 3 years, and I kept telling her, well, it's not quite big enough, not quite big enough. Well, it wasn't going to happen this year. She was going to come whether I invited her or not. So I thought, well, this is a pretty nice one. Of the 3, I think it's the nicest one, and you had a pretty good story, too. Why don't you tell us?
Thank you. Well, I got interested in hunting about 3 years ago, and I borrowed a friend's gun, and since opening day is cherished and sacred, I was only able to go on the next weekend. So when I got my first buck, I was hooked. I was very excited, and I went out and bought my own gun, and I went out next year after that, which was last year, and got one on opening morning. And then this year, I was looking forward to it, very excited. Went out in the woods over an hour before I got daylight. I don't have much cover either, and I hunt in an open field because I feel safe there, and the odds of a deer coming out are not that great, but opening morning, there's a lot going on, and this buck came out, and I had about 2 or 3 seconds, and I shot him when he stopped for a minute, and then he took off and ran about 50 yards, and I saw that he didn't come out of the woods, but I couldn't see where he went, so I waited a while, and then I went down and called my sister and my mom. My sister came with me today, and she came running over from work to see the deer and helped me with it.
Real quickly, what about the guy who tried to take it away from you, though?
Well, after I shot the deer and I didn't see him come out of the woods, I figured he was down, but I wanted to wait about a half an hour just in case. And I saw an orange hat appear on the edge of the property line. And I watched him walk around, craning his neck around, trying to look towards where I thought the deer was. And he kept walking around the property line, and I just sat in my blind because I was still hunting and put my orange hat out when he came onto the neighbor's property. And then he climbed over our fence, walking towards the deer. So I had to get out and ask him to leave, which was a little bit, uncomfortable. But he left, and I went down and saw that I got this nice deer, and I was very lucky and very thankful.
Great story. Thanks very much for being here, Connie. Okay, this is the second of our four ladies here, Holly Nichols of Comstock Park. She took this 8-point on November 18th in Eaton County while hunting at a friend's property in Charlotte. This is Holly's first buck ever after 20 years of hunting. You got a heartwarming story for me too, I know that, and this was another good story and another reason she's here.
Yeah, I came in here and I looked at everybody else's racks and I thought, oh, it's the story. I used to hunt with my dad every year, opening day. It was a tradition. And so last year, I had a lot of things going on at work, and so I wasn't able to get up there. So I called my dad and I said, I'm not going to make it till weekend. And he was like, don't worry about it, just come on up on the weekend, we'll have a great time. And well, I never got a chance. He passed away on November 18th of last year. So he hunted alone and then passed away in his sleep, massive heart attack. So I didn't hunt at all last year. So this year, I wasn't sure I was even going to hunt, and luckily, thankfully, my friend Rosie Kita invited me out to hunt. So Charlotte set me up in her son's tree stand along the Battle Creek River. So it was in the afternoon, and I was sitting up in the tree and I was thinking about my dad and the good memories and everything. So just kind of talking to myself, and I'm like, okay, Dad, I know you're here, help me out. And sure enough, I was up high enough to see this buck coming in the distance, so I just kept waiting for him to get closer and closer, and finally he stopped, probably about 60 yards out, and I got a chance to take a shot, and he just kind of loped off on an angle, and I thought he was going to cross the river, and he disappeared behind this big tree that was lined up right with the river, so I couldn't see him, and then a couple seconds later I saw something cross farther down in the river, and I thought, oh, he's gone. And so we found him about 60 yards farther down, just laying on the bank there. So it was exactly the same day that my dad passed away last year, November 18th. So he helped me out, no doubt in my mind.
No doubt in mine either. Great story. Thanks very much. Jennifer Enos of Elsie took this, 8-point? Yes. Gratiot County, and it's really a nice spread. What is that?
Well, we had it measured right after we shot it, and they got 20 and a half, but my dad measured it at 20 and a quarter inch inside spread.
Well, who are you going to believe?
Well, I don't want to say it's more than what it is. I don't know.
We're arguing over a quarter inch.
Well, I don't know. Big, who cares?
Tell us your story.
Well, I went out that morning, November 17th, and I didn't get a shot at it, but a spike come out, and it was Thursday payday, and I had to leave the stand, unfortunately, but I got back in my stand about 12 o'clock, and I figured all the other hunters were at home eating, so I'd get some shut-eye, and you know how you are there, sitting in your blind. I never did get much sleep, but I decided I got cold. Well, I got an ET heater sitting in there, and so I had my 12-gauge Savage 210 bolt action Leopold scope gun, very nice, my dad's gun, sitting on my lap. I took my gloves off and I set my gloves on my lap, and then I reached to get the matches to light the heater, and I set that on my lap. And I went to turn the heater, and it made a big noise. So I thought, oh, there we go. There goes all the deer in the woods. Looked up, and he was right there. Didn't seem to affect him at all, but went to grab my gun, and I had matches and gloves and all sorts of a mess right there, clutter on my lap. But finally got that sat down, lifted up my gun, shot him right in the heart, and dropped him 40 yards.
Is that your first one?
That's my first buck in 10 years. I've been known as the doe slayer because that's all I've ever seen and that's all I've ever gotten, and this is awesome. Thanks for letting me on the show.
Thank you very much for coming. All right. Sharon Becker of Lyons. She shot this 10-point on November 17th in Eaton County, and it's really a unique rack. It's actually got a nice drop tine there, and you got a pretty good story too, Sharon.
Yes, I sure do. People at work call him the suicidal deer. He, I sit in a blind that's about 6 feet up in the air in a grass field, and I saw this coming through the woods, limping. I could tell by the way it was dropping, he was limping. So I was all ready, no matter what he looked like, to take that shot. And when he come out into the clearing, I took my shot, and he ran about 60 yards and fell. And I got over to him, and I saw he was a 3-legged deer. And also, along with being a 3-legged deer,
You haven't heard anything yet.
he had been shot in the front legs with a bow, straight through both front legs. Plus, shot in the back of the head with buckshot. They had to have a massive headache. That's all I can say. So, along with him there was 2 or 3 other does. So he was still going strong.
You bet he was. Even with all that buckshot and everything.
Uh-huh. But
But you ended all of his fun.
yes, I did. But I ended his pain too. That's the big thing. I didn't care if this rack would have been a 2-point. He was going to go down. He was in too much pain. But I thought it was interesting that it's the left back leg was missing, and it's the right side that's deformed. It's unique.
That's what they always say. But you know, you ended his pain, but he ended his life in pretty good style. He had 3 girlfriends with him, right?
Exactly right. He was happy.
Died happy. What else? Congratulations, Sharon. All right. 18-year-old Nathan Gonzalez of Springport got 2 nice 8 points, one with a bow, the bigger with a gun. The big guy was taken November 15th, and he has 2 9.5-inch tines and inside spread at 21-inch. Tell us your story, Nathan. I know that you saw that one during the bow season, didn't you?
Yeah. I had passed the smaller 8-point 2 times because I had seen the big guy out bow hunting. And, well, the 3rd time he came past, I was like, well, he's getting it this time. So I shot him the night of November 10th. And then opening morning, I was sitting in my blind, and I was talking to my dad on the 2-way radio, and he said, yeah, I think I seen that big buck that you seen out bow hunting. I was like, oh, yeah? He's like, yeah, it was 2 steps away from getting in my shooting lane. He's like, and then it went straight away from me. I couldn't get a shot. About 40 minutes later, he come walking across the field toward me. Well, I was facing the other way, and I was talking on the phone to my brother, and I looked, and I just seen a side view of him coming at me. So I'm like, yeah, that's a nice one. So I opened my window on my blind, and I whistled so I could see how wide he was, and he looked at me, and I knew right then that was the shooter. So took an 80-yard shot and dropped him right there.
Are these your first 2? You got other ones? Or?
No, I've shot 3 other bucks, and one of them it was a 9-point with my bow, and it scored 133 inches. So that was pretty nice too.
Great job. Congratulations. Okay. Benny Milosevic.
Got it.
All right. He's from Lake Orion. Took this 10-point in Sanilac County on November 15th with a couple of 10-inch tines, 17.25-inch spread, dressed out at 185 pounds. Tell us the story, Benny.
Well, it was November 15th. I limped out to my blind. I had a little injury October 1st, and came across the field about 10:30 in the morning and 60-yard shot, and that was it.
That was awful easy.
Yeah, well, not really. I had a little skid steer accident October 1st on bow season, and I crutched myself out, and my buddies helped me out, my brother and my hunt buddy, and didn't have a successful bow season because I was kind of called the deer alarm because you'd hear me walk out there all the time. But November 15th, that persistency paid off for me, and this is what I got.
Is it your best one?
I've hunted for 18 years. I've got a few nice bucks, but this is my best one.
How did you convince your wife? Is she here today? Or
Yeah, she's here. So my son, Zachary.
where are they at?
Right
There they are. Because you're supposed to be at a Christmas party or something, right?
Yeah, I'm supposed to be, but I figure this is once in a lifetime thing, so
Christmas is every year, you know, right?
got that right.
Great job, Benny. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Well, here's another young man that maybe will be the next Jack Eddy. He's got another one too, but he didn't have hands for it. But actually, it's a doe. He's 16 years old. His name is Miles Allen from Flushing, and obviously he had a great season. In September, during the youth hunt, he shot his first deer, a 6-point, which is his first one ever. Then during the bow season, he shot a doe, and finally on November 22nd, he shot the nice 9-point. But these hunts were extra special, all of them for Miles, because of his grandfather, and I'll let him tell you that story.
Well, back in June, my grandfather passed away, heart problems, and he gave all my hunting equipment to my dad, and he let me use his bow for bow season, and he let me use his 12 gauge for youth season, and got this nice 6-point, just spine shot him, and he dropped right there, and I was with my buddy from the fire department, and another guy. He let me hunt on his land. His name is Mark Mankowski. And then during bow season, I took my grandfather's bow and went out with my guy from the fire department. And he called me on my radio and said, "Have you seen anything yet?" I goes, "No, not yet." Right when I turned to put my radio away, 2 doe came walking in and draw back and shot the first one that came in. She went about 200 yards. I called him back on the radio and said, "I got one." And he's like, "No, you didn't." I was like, "Yeah." So we went and tracked that one. And then just a couple weeks ago, I went out, was thinking about going out and go hunting. When I went out with my grandpa's 12 gauge again and went to my first tree stand and got bored sitting there, so I switched to another spot in front of my buddy's tree stand. Then I went behind his tree stand and sat there for about 15 minutes, and he walked in. And I thought he was a doe at first because I couldn't see the horns. Then he put his horns down, and I seen the rack, and I thought he was a spike. Then he walked a little further, shot him, dropped him right where he was, and went up on him, and I couldn't believe it. I seen him during bow season, first day of bow season. So...
You think maybe Grandpa was with you?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. All these deer, the first 3 deer I've got my life.
Gonna be using Grandpa's stuff next year too, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I'd shake your hand, but I can't. You got too many. Thanks a lot. Just Mike Nunham of Howell got this 10-pointer on November 20th in Livingston County. It's a nice even rack. This was his first deer ever. How long have you been hunting?
Off and on for about 35 years, and this was the year for me, I guess. Started out on Sunday, November 20th. Beautiful morning. It was about 35 degrees or so, no wind, and I got down to my blind at the back of my property, and wasn't long before a doe and a couple yearlings came through, and I just watched them play for a while, and they took off. And probably about a half hour or maybe an hour later, I caught a glimpse of this guy in the field across the way. He's probably about 120 yards. So he stood there for about 20 minutes, didn't move. And then it seemed like he laid down for about 20 minutes. And I'm thinking, well, maybe he's going to come my way. So probably about a half hour later, I saw 3 does and this guy coming towards me. And 2 of the does came down in the ravine where I hunt, and one ran off. And he's standing up there at the top. I'm wondering, well, which way is he going to go? And he was thinking about it too. Well, he finally came down the ravine where I was at, and very cautiously, and he came down to, I let him walk within about 25 yards of me, and he gave me a perfect shot and took him with one slug. And I want to thank my neighbor, Jim Graybar, who was not kind enough to come up and help me because I was really excited, and you can imagine. And my son, Kevin, they all helped get the tractor and the wagon and hauled this guy out.
Okay, great story. Thanks very much for being here, Mike. That's this week's show, everyone. We hope you enjoyed part 1 of Big Buck Night, because if you did, well, next week they just get bigger, so you don't want to miss it. So until then, I'm Rob Trott saying, get outside. There's no better place to be.